All right, welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about a really powerful, timeless principle for making change that actually sticks. It comes from the work of philosopher Thomas Troward, and it's called the law of growth. You know that feeling, right? That burst of energy when you start a new project, a new habit. Maybe it's a New Year's resolution. It feels incredible for about a week. And then, somehow, that fire just fizzles out. It is such a frustrating cycle, and pretty much everyone goes through it. But here's the thing. What if I told you that this isn't your fault? That it's not some personal failure or a lack of discipline or willpower? The real problem isn't that you need to try harder. The problem is that we've been taught to think about change in a way that's, well, completely backwards. That's right. There's a natural law that governs how things grow, just like the law of gravity governs how things fall. And when we try to force change without understanding this law, we're basically trying to swim upstream against a really powerful current. It's exhausting, and it just doesn't work. So in this explainer, we're going to break down this law. We're going to see exactly why our usual approach tends to backfire. And most importantly, we'll learn how to work with this law so our goals can grow naturally instead of feeling like a constant battle. Okay, so let's start with the core principle itself. And to really get it, all you have to do is think about how anything in nature actually grows. So according to Troward, everything already has a kind of life force inside it, a vitality. And growth is always an inside-out job. Think about it. A tiny seed doesn't become a giant oak tree because you're yelling at it or forcing it from the outside. It grows because the entire blueprint for the oak tree is already packed inside it. Growth is just an unfolding of what's already there. And this is the absolute key. Our job isn't to create the growth, it's to align ourselves with the natural law that allows growth to happen. You have to work with it, not against it. And honestly, that one little shift in perspective, it changes everything. And this brings us to the two completely different approaches we can take with any goal in our lives. This is really where most of us get tripped up. This slide shows the contrast perfectly. On one side, you have our common mistake, forcing. This is all about anxiety, hurry, and trying to muscle our way to a result from the outside. But on the other side, you have the natural way, cultivating. This approach is all about trust, patience, and focusing on creating the right internal conditions so that growth can just happen on its own. Troward makes a brilliant point here. He says that when we get anxious about if or how a goal is going to happen, we're actually creating a second, opposing mental blueprint. It's a blueprint of doubt, and that anxious thought basically cancels out our original desire. You can't plant a seed and then dig it up every single day to check on it. That very act of distrust is what kills the whole process. Okay, I know this might still sound a little bit abstract, so let's bring it down to earth and see how this actually works in our day-to-day lives. So let's look at 3 areas. At work, your mental blueprint, your seed, might be the vision of yourself as a true expert in your field. The soil you need to cultivate is just your daily, focused practice. In your relationships, the blueprint might be a feeling of deep trust, and the soil is all those consistent, kind actions you take. And when you're building habits, the blueprint is a new identity, like, I am a healthy person. And the soil is the small, daily wins that prove it to yourself. And this lines up perfectly with what philosophers have said for centuries. Aristotle taught that our character isn't just something we have, it's something we build piece by piece through our habits. Every small, repeated action is like tending the soil, making it richer and richer, preparing it for the person we want to become. So how can you actually put this into practice, like today? Let's walk through a really simple, actionable exercise you can do right now. First, you choose your seed. This is your mental prototype. Just to find one goal with total calm and clarity, with no worry attached to it. Second, you prepare the soil. What's one small, totally manageable thing you can do every day to create the right conditions for that seed? And third, and this is the most crucial part, you tend the garden. You just do that daily action with a quiet confidence, trusting that the law of growth is already doing its thing. This is really the new identity we're aiming for. You're not a construction worker trying to force bricks into place. You are a patient gardener. You calmly and confidently create the right conditions, and then you let the harvest come on its own. All right, let's pull all of this together and just quickly recap the core message of this really powerful law. So here are the key takeaways. First, growth is an inside-out job, period. Second, trying to force it with worry and anxiety will always work against you. Your real work is just to create the right conditions and then trust the process. Your calm, clear intention, that's the seed, and your consistent daily actions, that's the fertile soil it needs to grow. And when you really start to live this way, when you align with this natural law, something pretty amazing happens. Reaching your goals stops feeling like a constant fight. Instead, it just becomes this calm, steady, and inevitable unfolding. It's the natural result of the garden you've been tending. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What is one seed, one clear intention that you're going to plant this week? And what's the one daily action you'll use to cultivate it, patiently and without anxiety? Up next, we're going to explore the really fascinating ideas of receptivity and intuition. And if you want to catch up on any of the previous explainers, the full series playlist is ready for you now.